Greetings, everybody. This is Kit, and we are in Essex Airport, New Jersey, and we're going to recreate the last flight of John Kennedy Jr. And I am sitting here with my friend Bandit, co-pilot, who's going to go with me on this journey. And the date is July 16, 1999. And we're going to set the time to 8:38 p.m. because that's the time when theoretically he took off on this last flight that he made. And we are going to try to see if I can get that guy to move out of the way. Apparently he doesn't want to cooperate. Do I have the brakes on? It doesn't feel like it. Let's see if I got the brake. Oh, I got my window in the wrong minute. Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay, we're gonna need a little power here, and we're gonna just turn left. And as we turn, I'm gonna start giving you some information about this recreation of this last flight. It's actually, he still has daylight when he gets out there, and I'm certainly no expert on this subject, but I do want to just give you a little of the background here. I've done some research trying to get the weather for this particular day, and I've put together 4 or 5 different people's ideas of what the clouds look like, the haze looked like, and there's varied reports. I mean, the clouds as low as 2,000 feet, others say the clouds were 20,000 feet, and the haze, oh, there's somebody passing too. The haze got a little heavier out there in the open water, and that's kind of what I'm kind of thinking happened to him. I can see the ground all the way out there until we get to the open water, and then it gets hazy quicker than most people would think. So I've already done the ground check, done everything else, got it all in, got the flight plan ready, and I think we're just going to come down here to the end of the runway, and then we're going to put the plane in park for a second. I'll get everything set up for the last minute, kind of give you an idea where we are and what I see taking place here. Okay, we'll just swing the corner here, and we'll come around. I'm in the Cowles DA-42 twin-engine turbo version of this TDI version, and we'll just put it right here for the moment. I'm going to go down here and going to check those brakes. Last time I got here, I didn't have the brakes on. Okay, there we are. Now let me just get everything set for the takeoff, and we can do some talking as we're going. Let's get our heading in here, set it to the current, and let me set the range here back a little bit so we can see better where we're going when we get up. So he's going to take off, and he's going to do a button hook, fly down to the south, and then head to the northeast. And we'll take it out a little more. 7.5 miles might work. Okay. I'm going to get the barometer set. And he's going to fly up to 5,500 feet, which is what people have him reported at, almost basically coming out of the airport and getting ready to go. And flight director on. Whoops. Let's get that back on. Okay, the heading on. We got that in. Okay. We're in nav mode. The CDI is in nav mode anyhow. Okay, and now let us put in the landing light, take off the taxi lights. Now, let's just talk a minute about where we're going and what we're doing. So, I got another monitor here. I'm going to drag over the expected flight plan right here. And this is it. We are actually over here in New Jersey, across from New York. And we're going to do this little button hook down here. And we're going to head up to the north and then head east, get to Martha's Vineyard. This area right here in red is where his last radar position was fixed, and I've got bandit barking. I can't do that, bandit. Okay, we're gonna have to close that door. And so that's where 35 miles west of Martha's Vineyard is. Eventually they find the plane 120 feet down in the water down there. So because he's coming over land, I think he can see the ground and the lights pretty well until it gets to the open water, and that's when they said that the conditions deteriorated rapidly. So let's pull this one back out here, put it in the other one. I'm going to bring over another map. This one, whoops, I'll put it full size here. This is just the little nav map of the flight. He's going to take off. He's going to head southwest, and he's going to head northeast till it gets up over to the Tappan area, Tarrytown area. This is Ichabod Crane up here, where that story takes place. And over here is Rip Van Winkle down in the Tappan area here. And then he's going to come in the middle of the Hudson River. He's going to head north, basically just right in this neck of the woods right here. And then these are reports of people saying him, the radar is saying him. So the radar was tracking him at 5,500 feet, basically all the way across here. And as you can see, he's got clear sight of the land all the way until we get to the open water. And now it starts changing. And that's that nest area where the plane went down. And there's a lot of speculation what was going on. And I think it was probably not just one single item, just so many different factors playing into it. And I'm going to take this back to the other monitor so it'll be out of our way. And I can keep track of it over here as I'm flying. So I think probably the number one factor was that he got a late start. Traffic was delaying everybody getting out. The flight check, his wife was last minute shopping with her sister, trying to get some ideas for a wedding that she wanted to go to at Martha's Vineyard. And so they were delayed. So by the time that they got ready to take off, now the takeoff time was 8:38 p.m. So I'm just going to move this time up here to 8:38 p.m. with these weather conditions, which I'm calling JFK Jr. 2. I've created 3 of them, and I think this one is a little closer to what it really looks like. So we'll just put it right here at 8:38. And so there was just a suggestion of daylight out there about the time they get ready to take off. And if I get out of the plane for a second, then you could see the moon. It was visible in their tail end while they were flying. And it might have given a little bit of light, but the light that the moon gave, they said, was offset by the hazy conditions. And if you look, you can see kind of haze settling in out there. It'll become more prominent as we get going. So with that said, let's hop back in the plane. I want to check my flap here, right? I like it right about there when I take off my trim. Oh, I forgot to put the other so what is going on here? I need some fuel pumps as we carry up. I've been having trouble with blowing fuses on my avionics monitors, so that should clear itself here in a minute. And there it goes. Okay. All right, with that said, let's take off the brakes. With this plane, you don't need any flaps. You just take off as it is. This is a very easy plane to fly if you're just an amateur like me and you want to get it up and going and you want to just have some fun. So we're going to speed it up here. We'll take it up to full throttle for the takeoff, and then we will back off once we get in air. So we're at 50 knots and we're approaching 70 knots, and right about in here we can rotate here. So let's do that. We're rotating, bring it up. We're looking good. We're going to tap those brakes, get the gear up, and we are on our way. I'm going to pull back on the throttle just a little bit. And there's the lights in New Jersey and New York. And I'm going to cut the power here down to about 85%. And 83. We'll start right about there. Okay. So we're going to get turned around here a little. And so that's going to be about the last sunset. You could say that's the last sunset and the moon that JFK Jr. is going to see, his wife and his sister-in-law. So we're going to just swing around and get in position to assume the direction we want to go. So I don't want to climb too fast, but this is a good rate right about here, because he didn't get too high too early. And I want to get my other map a little bigger. Okay, I think in here we're going to go ahead and we are just going to put it on navigation mode. Let's come around a little bit here. Okay, I'm going to take my hands off the yoke for a second. Excuse me. Put it on nav mode, and we're going to put it on autopilot. And let's get our vertical speed down here. About, we go down 400 feet a minute, 300. That's a good one there. 200, perfect. Okay, now we are trying to get lined up onto the magenta line itself and get into position. So we're just about tracking it. I think we're there on it right about now. So we're in autopilot and we are running full course right here. And we just let the evening come on us and hop out for a second, take a look at New Jersey. So we just took off. I think that's the airport right behind us right there. Should be right over there. And we're just doing a very slow, easy, gradual climb. And here it comes. So New York is going to be off to the right. Oops, this way. Comes to the skyline now. Something big over there. I guess these are the buildings downtown New York. So that looks like, Statue of Liberty down in that area. Empire State Building. All this taking place over here. So there's some daylight that he's seeing there. Now, why he didn't take off in New York, I don't know. This is where he kept his plane, and he just upgraded his plane. And I forget now what it was, some Piper plane and some Comanche of some sort. And I got it in my notes here real quick if you bear with me. See if I can find it. I took notes more about the weather conditions than I really did about the plane that he was flying. And I'm trying to see if it's on page 1. It's not. Maybe it's on page 2. And I'm not saying it there either, but let's focus on what we're doing. So not too far ahead, we're going to be crossing over the Hudson River. We're already approaching 3,000 feet right here, and we're still climbing. We're just climbing at a gradual, easy rate. I'm going to bring this power up to about 85% of load. Right about there. You can see that over here in this area. And we can turn our landing lights off now. And we're still climbing, so I'm going to keep the fuel pumps on for just a little while longer, and then we'll get them turned off. So I think that we are basically 6-7 miles away from our first turn, which you can see in this area right here. We're right here, and we're going to be turning into this area here, and then following the Hudson River up. And the time of day is getting darker, and you can see plenty of ground lights out of here. So seeing the ground in these conditions with the weather that I've recreated is a very doable thing. I do have a program called Active Sky that I can use in the flight simulator, and it has a history in it where you can go back until I want to recreate the weather on a given day, at a different time of the day, and it can go back so far. But unfortunately, it only goes back 7 years, and so I can't get back to 1999. So I'm not going to be able to use that as a reference for any help to see what kind of day we're in. The new Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is coming out, and it is it's also going to have historical weather in it, but unfortunately, at least in the early stages, it's only going to go back 24 hours in time. So, if you had a storm, you're at work and there was a big storm today, and then you want to go home and fly it, the old version, the one I'm flying right now, only gives you the live weather at the time you're flying. So if it was really 8 o'clock at night right now, I'd get 8 o'clock weather, but I want to set my time back to 2 o'clock, which is when the storm came into the office. You can't recreate it. So the Active Sky can do that, and it does a very wonderful job of doing it. I hope to get Active Sky working in 2024 version, so we can go back and create some beautiful looking weather. Okay, we're going to be making a right-hand turn here in a moment, heading toward the Hudson River, which I believe is right here, that horizon line we're seeing right there. So we're going to kind of head straight east till we get to the middle of the river, and then we're going to turn and go north. So as the story goes, Rip Van Winkle is on this side of the river, right down in this area, the Tappan area, the Tappan Z Bridge. So Rip Van Winkle's over here, and on the other side of the river, right up in here, is where the Ichabod Crane and Headless Horseman story takes place. So I believe we're looking at basically the Tappan Z Bridge right in here, and we're going to be turning, as you can see in a few moments. We're going to follow it up, and we'll be heading up the Hudson River. We're going to be heading up this direction. So that's all coming up, all well and fine, and we are cruising along at about 150 knots, and I think we're making good time. So at this time of day, seeing the ground and the lights is not a problem, and even flying for a little while over open water should not be a problem. And John has done this flight maybe 6 or 7 times, but he's always done it with somebody else in the plane. He's not alone by himself. Having a responsible pilot in the plane with him, he's not alone by himself in the plane. And so if he's being distracted by somebody in the front there with him, it's probably somebody helping him, guide him, to tell him what's coming up ahead, what he needs to be thinking about. Should something go wrong with the plane, where do you want to think about landing this plane, and how to get it down safe and sound. So we're at 3,500 feet right now, making this left-hand turn over the Tappan Z Bridge, and we're going to be heading up toward the West Point area. We're not going to get all the way to West Point, but we're heading in that direction next, and it takes you back to Glenn Curtis, and his flight down the Hudson River, which basically took off in the West Point area to he's a little further north, I think, but he comes down the river in his little plane. I forget the name of it now, but he's sitting out in front of the plane, wide open, his flaps, his ailerons are straps that are harnesses that are connected to his shoulder pits. So he, instead of wing warping like the Wright brothers did, he kind of moves his body back and forth, and he can work the flaps of his ailerons of his plane as he's flying. So we're heading up the Hudson River. So way up yonder, we're not going to get that far, as you can see here, but way up in that area is going to eventually be West Point. And it's going to be, I'm looking at a bigger map, it's going to be much further up the river than I think it is. So this, it's a beautiful area up here. There's a, train, Grand Central. There's the Penn Central and the Grand Central Railroad that were running when I used to come up here as a high school kid, college kid, and catch a train. I'd come in from Philadelphia, and then I'd take it into Penn Station, and then walk over to Grand Central Station, switch trains, and get on the Grand Central line, and then take that up the coast here to a place called Hastings on the Hudson, which is just back there by the Tappan Zee, and hop out there. That was about 20 miles north of New York, and it was always a fun ride. It was an adventure. You're 17 years old, having an adventure on your own like that, it's just really quite a thing to do. So I made that trip several times. Now we're going to head east, and as you can see, it's getting darker, and this little town, kind of like it's called Crotonville. Is that right? Crotonville. My map too dark on the other side. So it's he's flying this direction, and I think right now he should be about 5,500 feet. I think maybe I'm going to increase this from 200 to 300 feet a minute and get up to 5,500 quicker. At some point I have to think about coming down, and I don't want to come down like John Kennedy Jr. did. Basically, whatever went wrong in that plane. He was going downhill at a very rapid descent, going up, going down, turning, for whatever reason, disorientation. They don't think it was any real problems mechanically with the plane, but something definitely happened, and he lost focus of where he was and what was going on. Whether he was being distracted by his wife and sister-in-law in the back seat, and they're right behind him in the plane, but they're sitting with their back to him, so they're looking backwards in the plane, and he's looking forward, and they didn't want to put on their headsets to talk. Maybe they wanted to have private conversations and didn't want to bother him. Who knows? But at any rate, in order for him to talk to him, he had to turn and would have to get a little bit loud in order to talk for them to hear him, and vice versa. So if he's talking to him on the way up and the way out, he's not focusing on flying the plane, kind of like you saw me doing there, taking off. If you're not focused, things can go wrong fairly fast, fairly quick. So there's a little mountain down here called Mount Kisco. That's about where we're going to be coming over here in a moment. And then Bedford, Pound Ridge, a place called Vista. They're all straight ahead. And there appears to be, some health here. This is either the haze coming in or something on the line here. I'm trying to stay in the plane as much as John Kennedy would have been confined to the plane. He really can't get out of the plane and do much, see much. So that would be, and this light is causing some brilliance to take place. It's probably not really there. Still a good view of back looking down at New York City and the Hudson River going down there. So he's quite a view back there. Okay, we'll just swing around. Okay, I chose the Diamond DA-42 because two reasons. It's very easy to fly. Um, I'm sure the developers of the plane are watching my videos going, what is he doing? I'm just trying to take it simple, and I'm focused a little more on the story and what maybe happened than I am trying to be the expert at flying the plane. So forgive me, guys. I'm not a real pilot. I'm just out here having fun, enjoying it, and doing the best I can with it. Even Bandit gives me tolerance. He knows that it's I got to be focused on what I'm doing, and while I'm telling a story or things happen. Like you missed it. This is my second recording here. The first one I never got off the ground. I went out to the end of the runway, and I put the plane in. I guess this is the Long Island down here now. You can see across Long Island. But I had the plane at the end of the runway, trying to get set up, getting ready to change the time to match the 8:38 takeoff, and so I get an idea of what it's going to look like as we get out here. It's going to get darker, and the lights are still here, and you can see quite a bit of ground light here. So, they're saying that it's actually not there. The NTSB that said the probable cause of the accident, according to them, was the pilot's failure to maintain control of the plane during a descent over water at night, which will result of spatial disorientation. And I think if you can't see the horizon and you don't have lights to see what's going on, it's not daylight, and you're not used to, in his plane it's going to be different, but he's not going to have he's going to have a system in here kind of like this up here where you're going to look at the ground, try to read that. But if you're in pure pitch black, you can't see a thing. It'd be easier to get disoriented. And of course, if you're looking backwards, talking to them in the back seat, and not paying attention, it's also easy to get disoriented. So one of these two things happen, and I'm not sure which. Or, mechanical problem in the plane. It's just too hard to tell what really became of it. So we are cruising along, and we are just north of Stamford. So these would be the lights of Stamford right down in here. Stanford University. Cindy and I traveled to here not too long ago on a trip that we took to New England. And so yeah, there was a lot of places to look and see, but we crossed it to Tappan Zee and we're heading east, kind of like they're doing in here. But of course we went to the coast down here and I followed them. So we probably followed this road right here, whatever it is. I guess if I check over here, I can see that is... Not sure what road that is. It might be 95 going up there. Okay, so right at the moment now, we're approaching a place called Wilton and Weston. And this is where the author of this story that I've been looking at has put together 4 or 5 different weather reports, and he's also put together about 5 or 6 people's opinions of what they saw in the sky that night as they were flying around, and it varied dramatically. Some of them saying that at 2,000 feet you couldn't see a thing. Others said they could see planes from 12 miles out at the airports, so the visibility was good. I can't see a thing, to 12 miles, and pick your choice. Some people were saying that they made the flight just an hour earlier and they didn't have any problems. Another person said that he was over Martha's Vineyard at about 12,000 feet, and he looked down and he could not see the vineyard to the haze. So he was wondering if they had a power failure and the lights were out at the airport because he couldn't see a thing. And yet, in the conditions I've created here, you don't really have a problem seeing all the way across Long Island. Um, the bay is straight here. I'm trying to get to my other window and look at the Long Island over there. And yeah, I mean, there's visibility all the way out here. I'm trying to slice down a little bit here. Okay. I could turn on these lights, but it's a little too bright. And I wanted to get as dark in here as I could, kind of show you what's going on out there. And the weather is, the wind is coming out of the west at about 246 degrees, and it's about, well, at this altitude, it's 15 knots. So I got a tailwind here. So my true airspeed right now is 183 ground speed, but I'm doing 170 knots true airspeed, and but I'm flying at 155 indicated on the plane. So I'm going to turn it down just to pinch to 83, maybe 82% power. I think we're coming in good right about there. Okay. Keeping, landing lights off, because I don't want any glare out there more than we need it. What do we have here? We have now reached our altitude. We're not climbing. We're not doing anything anymore. We are just kind of cruising along. And I just set our heading here real quick in case something happened. And we kind of look ahead. So we're getting darker now than we were. But there's still a good amount of light out there. So, I guess if you're a conspiracy theorist, you've probably already made up your mind what you think happened with JFK. If you're looking at it from a strictly aviational point of view, you probably have another opinion about what may have happened. And anywhere in between is probably a little bit of truth to them, whichever direction you want to lean. Let's get drunk there. Okay, so now we are heading over to our right here is Stratford, right down in this neck of the woods. And the next thing will be coming up will be New Haven. In this neck of the woods right here. So I think right about here is New Haven. New Haven, East Haven, West Haven. Probably right about there is West Haven. And in the distance going north, it's going to get a little darker. It'll be harder to see much. But as you can see right about here, we're getting closer to the ocean. And if you're looking out over there, yes, you can still see lights, but they're further away, and I don't really know, were the clouds 2,000 feet or were they 20,000 feet? It depends on whose reports you want to listen to. They were very varied, very light clouds, and what little clouds there were. And again, that moon, well, let's get out and look at the moon. The moon from behind isn't going to generate a lot of light, especially in the haze that we're seeing. So looking north right there. And what happened? In the east, that kind of momentary stutter right there. And you look out over the open water where we're going to be, and it's going to get darker out there. So I think that's what we're going to find out. Getting over the land is one thing. Flying over the water is going to be quite another story by the time we get closer to it. So I guess I'm going to have to start thinking about setting up for a landing, because I don't plan on ditching into water, and I want to look at what do I have to do with Martha's Vineyard. And I'm on the other map, and I think based on where the wind's coming in, I'm going to come in on runway 24. So while we're flying here, and that would be Stanford right there. While we're flying and it's getting darker. I just want to check our procedures for landing here. I want to select I want to take a, what did I say, 24? I'm just going to take a visual on 24. It's going to look like this. I don't really want to fly it. I'm not going to activate it. I just wanted to see it, what it looks like. I'm just going to load. Let's just take this. I just want to load it. I don't want to. If I load it, is it going to start flying toward it? Because I don't want to do that. Good, it's not. It appears to be holding its own. So let's all kind of approach on here. Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure we're not really flying that, because it'll deviate us from our so it's going to be up here. We're still going straight till we get closer and we're going to need it. But you can see right now we took off back here, we're up this way, and we are making pretty good time. We're just going to be flying up to the NESTT, which is where he's going to disappear. And so we got a little way to go yet before we get there. Okay, and as you can see, it's getting darker, and over the open water, definitely going to be a little harder to see. I'm sorry. While I had it here, there is something I do need to look at, and I want to see on that procedure. When we get down here, how high do I need to be? For the final, I need to be just under 900 feet. So, okay. Remember, 900 feet, guys. Okay. Let's go back to the flight plan. Okay. Let's hop out of there. There's haze out there. Now there's the Long Island Sound. And from where we are, I'm guessing from a map that that's about 40 miles across right there. It could be wrong. Maybe that's 30. Maybe a little less than 30. And from 30 you can see it. And his plane disappeared 35 miles out into the fog right here. I'm just going to measure this. That's 20 miles out. So at 20 miles out, you can see the lights over there. And he's 35 miles out when he disappears. But like the other people were saying, that conditions were one thing over land, and they were totally different again over water. So I'm going to do something unorthodox here. I'm going to turn off my strobes for a moment, just because I want to see if I get to get a cleaner picture. You guys out there in FAA, I know you're going to give me a hard time. Don't do that. Hold on, Bandit. It's okay. Oh, it's okay, Mr. Bandit. Okay. You find your happy place. Okay. So, we'll put the stoves back on. There is we have a house guest with us, and he's got some car props, getting shock absorbers put on his car, and his shoulder is in bad shape at the moment. He's trying to see how bad it is, so he's not able to do the work himself. So I believe what's going on is he's hired somebody to come to the house and put the shock absorbers on in the garage. And I think the Bandit, Mr. Bandit, Mr. Bo Bandit, is focused on what's going on out there in the garage more than he is me. What we're doing right here. He's lying back. He found his happy place. He's okay now. He just wanted his tummy tickle. He's good. He's okay right now. So we're cruising along, and I would say we are over halfway to the flight, or we're over halfway to the flight if you get all the way out to Martha's Vineyard. So we have quite a ways to go yet, but we're carrying on. It's looking good, and I'm trying to get there as quick as I can because my wife is making dinner, and I got a late start because of a bad start. Well, I didn't finish the story. I'm sitting on the end of the runway, and I had to reach up and put the parking brakes on, and then I reached up, tried to change the time so I could take off at the proper time, and then I pulled another map over and was talking about where we're going, what's going on, and when I pulled that map away, I discovered we are not on the runway anymore. We're not even in Kansas anymore. We're in the woods, driving along the ground, plowing through the trees, just chewing up all the trees and the pulpwood at the moment. And I thought, oh, I'm so far away from the start. I don't really want to do this, but I'm just going to stop it and then going to restart it. And it's going to make dinner a little later, so I had to postpone dinner for a moment. Okay, so he's got all kind of weather reports. I'm looking at my report again, and here's a guy at about 14,000 feet. The visibility was unrestricted during his descent to Nantucket. When the GPS indicated that it was over Martha's Vineyard, he looked down and there was nothing to see. There was no horizon and no light. I turned left toward Martha's Vineyard to see if it was visible, but I could not see any lights of any kind or any evidence of the island. I thought that they might have suffered a power failure. I had no visual reference, and I found that I could not hold my altitude by outside reference sources, so he couldn't see his descent coming down. He didn't know how much further he had to go in order for him to make a safe landing. And that was about, he was in daylight when that happened, so he was having trouble in the daylight hours. So he has made this flight 6 or 7 times. The CFI felt that he had the capability to conduct the night flight to Martha's Vineyard as long as the horizon was enabled. And they were saying that his instructor said that his instrument flying skills and simulator work were observed to be excellent. However, there was trouble managing multiple tasks while flying, which the CFI felt was normal for the pilot's level of experience. So that goes back to the arguments that if his wife and sister-in-law were in the back seat and he's turned around to try to talk to them, so he's focused flying, he's lost his flying focus, he's now focused on the back seat, and then he has to switch around and get back to flying. It's possible that something like that was distracting him, and of course we'll never know. There's so many things we're never going to know in life, is there? So they said that he may have been using his autopilot to fly a heading or a straight line, but that he had turned it off when he started his descent, and we're going to be starting a slow descent as we get closer here. And I don't know, it doesn't say what rate that he was descending when he had trouble, and all of a sudden he was flying crazy at the last minute, trying to figure out where he was, going up and down, kind of spiraling and left and right. So I'm going to just park it right there for the moment. And the crash occurred at 8:41, and basically we started at 8:38. It was an hour and 3 minutes into the flight when all that took place. So it's quite a bit to go. So you can see the lights in the haze making kind of a hazy condition up here. As you can see, looking across the sound, it's harder to see what's going on out here. And you know what? These strobes are bothering me. I am going to turn them off because I'm just trying to recreate it without the strobing effect. And maybe that bothered him too. I don't know. I'm not flying by the book. I'm just trying to get an idea of what it may have looked like out there that night. So if I'm looking straight ahead, there's a place here called, we just went over Old Saybrook. This little piece right in here, I think is this thing called Fisher's Island. And there's about 3 spots out there, and then it comes back into Watch Hill. So this Long Island Sound we're getting ready to go over. So we are right over Old Lyme. Well, there was Old Saybrook and Old Lyme, right? I guess right here is, yeah, Old Lyme, Old Saybrook, East Lyme straight ahead up here, and then a place called Groton Airport straight ahead. And I don't think we can see the lights yet on it, although it's not that far away. I don't see anything looking like an airport down there. Martha's Vineyard is, there it is. Martha's Vineyard is not an overly big airport. Coming in at night, it may be a little bit hard to see. So there's Fisher's Island. What did I just turn up? Man, I just turned up something. What happened there? It's like I just got into full volume. How did that happen? I'm hoping that's not affecting my recording. No, I think that's steady. I must have hit something on my keyboard here. Turn the sound of the engine. It's really loud in my ears. I want to hear them, but I don't want to hear them that loud. So at some point, we're going to need to bring the plane down because I'm not going to go into water. And there's that little airport down here that I was just talking about at Fisher's Island and Groton straight ahead. So I'm starting to get the plane set up here a little bit for our descent, and we're coming about, what did I say there was? Just under 800, so I need to bring the plane down to about 800 feet. 2,500, 1,500, 8, and I'm going to park it here. I'm not going to really do anything with it yet because we're too far away. Now he had just a single engine plane, so he would have had a better view out the right and left windows than what I'm seeing right here. And you could look up and you could see the stars. So it was like it was totally cloudy everywhere. You could look up through it and see it, which is how I remember the fogs when I lived in Mississippi. You could look up through the fog and see the stars, but you couldn't see 20 feet ahead of you. It was that soupy, always soupy at night. Okay, so that's Groton's Island off to the right down there. That's that airport. And so the next big thing up ahead, besides Groton, is Stonington, which is going to be probably out in that area down there. Well, it is a waypoint on here. What is that, Stonington? KWST is Stonington right here, so that's not far. NESTT is where we're going to run into some big problems here shortly. Let's bring our range in a little bit. So over the water, you know, as you leave the lights of the city behind you, we're going to be going over a lot of water here shortly. We are right here at the moment, and we're doing 180 knots, probably a little faster than he is on the ground speed, but we've got a bit of a tailwind behind us. But right in here, it's going to turn into more and more open water, and like I said, if I'm checking right here to here is 20 miles. So from here to here is probably 10 miles, 15, 12, 10, 15. You should be able to see these lights up here. But down this way, it's pretty much all open water down here. And it'll be very hard to see what he's doing down there. Put that back over there. Get over there. Okay. And maybe I have a JFK Jr, Haze 1, Haze 2, Haze 3. And I think of the three that I tried out, that I think the Haze 2 was the one that seemed to fit the average of all these indications from other people. And we'll just go with that one tonight. So that's the little KWST airport right down here below us right there. Yeah, westerly, that's where that is. And pretty soon we're going to be heading out over the open water as you look straight into here. Until we get past this in the direction we're going, we're going to be getting to more and more open water, and it's going to be getting darker and darker out here. So, but again, there's still lights on the shore up here, if you can see it. But, picture if you're in a plane and you've got your head turned to the right, talking to the back seat, you're not seeing that left window very good. Because by that time you'd have to be looking out here to see it. And he's probably coming back, scanning the dials. And they said that he had something wrong with his radar setting. Seemed like he had his communication for weather. He was off one digit on his setting for it. So he was not getting the weather that he should have been getting. He wasn't squawking to it properly. Okay, so that's westerly right below us at the moment, and still looking good straight ahead. And I'm just checking on a map right here from where we are. We are about 20 miles away from where he disappears. So now you can start to see it. And we're not all that far away. I'm thinking about starting our own descent, so you can see that NESTT was where he went down. I'm just going to bring that in right about there, because it'll be coming up pretty quick. And I think when we get past this westerly here, then I am going to start a very gradual, slow descent. Maybe about the time we get to that MINSK, maybe about the time I get right about here, I'm going to start my descent. I'm just going to take it down gradually because I'm not sure how far it's going to go. So that's our turn. And probably from here to Martha's Vineyard, he was flying a straight line, as straight as you could get, looking at it, trying to get there as quick a time. Because remember, he really wanted to do all this in daylight hours, and he's late, and now he's landing at Martha's Vineyard. He's got to land, get her disembarked, and then get back up in the air again, and get her going to get up to Hyannisport for the weekend, and then fly back to Martha's Point, pick up his sister-in-law on the way back to New York City. So what do we have out there? Somebody out here's got a lot of lights. I'm looking on my map. I believe that's Dave. I think that's Rock Island out there, or Block Island. That's the lights of Block Island. There's an airport out there. It was kind of fun to try it out. I could set. I was practicing the weather out there. I was really just sitting on the ground and with the drone, getting up 1,000 feet into the air, trying to visualize what it might be like. And, out the left window, it really is easy to see. And maybe if the clouds were a little heavier, I could still see that. But now I can see, looking straight ahead here over open water, it's getting harder. Especially if your focus is somewhere else. Or he's maybe even trying to pick up the weather, but he's on the wrong channel. And he's distracted looking at that. So it's hard to tell what happened that night. And unfortunately, there's no voice recorder going on. So we're probably just never going to know. Overall, I think from what I'm looking at, I've got, I got 35 miles. It's 35 miles at NESTT. So I got about 40 miles to go. It's going to be over this open black down here. So there's not going to be a lot left to see. That's the last point he's really going to see. That's Narragansett Bay right up here. And Narragansett Point right down there. And I've been fishing down there. Point Judith is what it's called. And in college, I went up there with some friends in the neighborhood, and there were 5 of us, and we didn't think to check the weather. We heard the blues were running, and so we went up there to catch some blues. And so we threw everything in the car, took a tent. No, we didn't bring the tent because we didn't think it was going to rain. We just brought some sleeping bags and a piece of plastic to make a lean-to to get out of it if we needed to get some cover or something like that. And without knowing it, there was a small hurricane going on, and we were in the midst of it, and it was raining so hard we couldn't really do anything. We did get to the beach one day, and we had these great big huge lures and giant fishing poles, and we'd throw our line in, and then the next wave would throw it right back out on the ground again. So we couldn't even hold a lure in the water to try to do any trolling. It was an interesting experience. So we just finally decided that our best chances of success were to get a hotel for the night. But then we understood something we weren't aware of, that they had what they call hurricane rates. So for people like us who didn't plan, it's expensive. You find out the hard way that they're maybe triple the rate of what the normal hotels are, and you're just not going to find anything out there. Now it's getting dark, getting very dark, and you can hardly see anything at all straight ahead. And we are approaching that NESTT. You can see right here, this is when he disappears from sight. So I'm going to set up some vertical speed, and we're going to go down. Maybe we'll just go down 100 feet a minute, because nobody really knows where he was when his trouble started, but he is on his way down. I'm going to pull the throttles back a little bit, and we're at 75% power going downhill. As you can see out there now, there's a whole lot of nothing going on. You can see the left if you're looking to the left. Can you judge how level the ground is by just looking left? You know that's left, but I don't know if you can really judge how level you're flying. Let's hop out here for a second. We're making our last leg. Well, those lights are bright. There's still the lights of New York City. Maybe the tail end of the sunset. Maybe the moon making all that. Maybe something's not quite right there. I don't think it should be that bright back there. But as you can see, looking straight ahead, you can't see much. And I certainly don't see Martha's Vineyard out there anywhere. And when I do see something, maybe that is Cuddy Island, which would be a little Martha's Vineyard. That might be Martha's Vineyard. That's a possibility that we are getting into Martha's Vineyard territory. Let's get back in the plane. Okay, we're down 5,300 feet and we have 0.1 miles to go. Let's start going down a little faster now. So this is here in the map. NESTT is 35 miles out, and that's where we can't see what happened to John Kennedy anymore at that point in. So it's pretty black straight ahead. Straight ahead is going to be Martha's Vineyard. So if you can see through it, that may be the tip of Martha's Vineyard right there. I can't really be certain. We'll get closer here in a minute and we'll find out. We are now over NESTT. And so down below it's black. Looking across the bay, it's black. Maybe that is the sun still there. Maybe it's the moon in New York City. I don't know what we're looking at back there. To me, that looks brighter than it should be. And I'm just using the weather inside the flight simulator, trying to recreate it here. Okay. So, I'm sorry, John, I don't know what happened. It was a terrible tragedy. I do remember hearing about it and how shocked everybody was. Oh, that's what's going on with my mouse. I got a low battery indicator, it just came on. So earlier today, it did something funny, and I was trying to balance a checkbook. I'm inside of the checkbook, and I'm clicking off this one, clicking off that one, and the next thing you know, they all clicked off at one time, just like that. Well, that's not right. I didn't touch them, and I turned it off, turned it on, and straightened out. But now I see the problem. I've got a low battery. Hopefully I got enough battery to get into land here. So with that said, I think it's time for me to go ahead and activate our approach. And I think maybe I'm gonna bring it down a little more here, faster. And our procedure, I'm gonna activate the approach. And we're going to turn left a little bit, and we'll set the approach up over here. So now we have the approach glide path, which is not active yet. We're still on vertical speed, coming down. I think 400 feet, maybe. Might just do it. Okay, I got plenty of time to come down. There's nothing there but open water. So that, very well could be Martha's Vineyard straight up ahead. Maybe a little. We did turn a little bit to the left. So I'm thinking this is probably Martha's Vineyard. And we'll be landing out there in the middle of all that. So we'll be coming in from the north. Over here. And then swinging back around. So it's going to be a little. Maybe that's the run. It must be it right there. It must be the runway, or the airport right in that neck of the woods. Really? Well, I think we'll be okay. Our descent is coming down fast enough. Matter of fact, we may be coming down too fast. Let's try that. We can slow that down a little bit. Looking good. Definitely, we've cut our power. We'll bring that down. So that if that's Martha's Vineyard, you can kind of sort of see it. So you tell me. It's a very strong possibility that I don't have the weather set right in here, and it's a little hazier and foggier than it appears from what I'm seeing and what I set. I really wish that I had high hopes with the active sky that I'd be able to go back and pick the date and recreate this. And I try to recreate Amelia Earhart, or Lindbergh and Amelia Earhart. I'm trying to get to 1927 and 1937, but it won't go back that far. Then after I created this flight plan, that's when I discovered it only went back 7 years. So that was kind of a disappointment. We're going to slowly bring our speed down here. I'm going to bring it back to about 40% power. When I say 40% power, I'm looking right in here. And I think 39 might be just perfect for right now. And according to this, we will have reached our 800 feet at this little blue line right here before we need to be at 800 feet at the final approach when we come in. So we'll get there early. I'll get her slowed down. We'll get our flaps on. And we'll get our gear down. We can bring our gear down any time now. This plane is rugged enough to do it. But I think I'll just keep it right about here for the moment. We are coming down. I'm going to put our landing lights on. And to give us a little more ground light, I'm going to put the taxi lights on too. And I think we can bring this back a little bit on our range. Okay. Looking good. And what is the range here? We took that map off. Okay. So coming down, it appears at the moment we can see a little more into the water than we could before. Oh my, look at the blue light out there. So that little piece right here is the very western tip of what's called Eddy's Island, attached to Martha's Vineyard. So from here we can see that okay. Here you can see it all okay. If I turn off parking lights and this light, you can still see Martha's Vineyard without any troubles. I mean, he's so close. So close. That's what makes it a true tragedy. Something was wrong. As Bob Dylan says, if something is wrong, it ain't right. So if something's wrong, it ain't right. Something like that. So I gotta get the lights off for a second. They're a little too bright here. Let's just put the well, they're not so bright. Okay. Oh, I see. They're heating up and getting brighter as I do that. So I want to just get a little more true visibility of the lay of the land here. We're now down to 2,100 feet, and so that definitely looks like the airport over here we're coming in on. And when I get to the airport, it's going to be up and to the left. When we land, I want to get down and to the left to get to the hangars. I'm going to leave that over there like that. So I don't know if you guys, anybody's watching this, and I don't blame you if you're not watching it, because I'm not the greatest flyer in the world. But right now, there's something else going on, and I think people aren't really watching a lot of videos anymore right now on the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 version, the one that I'm in right now, because all eyes seem to be focused on the 2022 version, or 2024 version, which is coming out November 19. I've already pre-ordered mine, and now they have pre-release out. But if you wanted to get the beta version of it, I think a lot of content creators are beginning to fly around in it and to get a better feeling of what it's really going to be like. And I'm quite excited about it. But I also know that the early versions may be prone with some problems. I don't think I want to jump in and get a beta version of it right now. I think I'll just wait till November 19, and they'll trust that they'll try to work out the bugs as fast as they can find them and swat them down. And also the other developers, third-party add-ons, that they will be able to get their hands on it, start playing with it, and start making all the upgrades they need to do in order for their planes and their software and everything to be working properly inside of it. So I'm sure a lot of installers have to be redone and get that tweaked out before they're ready. So, okay. We'll be making our turn here in a moment. So looking to the right, there's Martha's Vineyard, as you can see it right here. When we get in, when I say we're going to land, and then the airport itself, the buildings are going to be in the, probably where those lights are, right about in there. So I need to pull off and get into that neck of the woods. Chappaquiddick is all the way on the far side of the island, way back in that neck of the woods there. And the ferry to connect over to the mainland is right in that neck of the woods. So it's what we're doing. We're looking pretty good. Now we're approaching that 800 feet, and I think I will bring our range in a little more. So we're supposed to be at the 800 feet right here. We're there a little early. I'm okay with that. We're going to be slowing down, and I'm okay with that too. I can smell dinner, so I know Cindy's got some chicken going, and I know it's going to be wonderful. So with that said, I think we can start thinking about getting in one level of flaps, and we'll make sure we don't lose too much speed here. Put a little more power in, keep our speed up this time. Is that right there, Mr. Bandit? You guide me in. Yes, if we get a safe landing, yes, I promise, you're going to get a T-bone steak tonight. That'll be a good thing for you. You suppose I should put our strobe lights on again? Come in somewhat. And our taxi lights and our landing lights. Okay. Now they're going to heat up, so we're going to get a lot of glow out that front end. But the airport's back that way, and now it's kind of out of the view. Right back down here is where we're going. So as we get ready to make this turn, at that point I will put the landing gear down. Just put a little more power in right here. I don't want to come in too slow, and I've done that on the last flight that I did. That's why I don't think anybody's really watching much of anything right now, because I just finished recreating When I Pursue the Trail of True Grit. Trying to fit in both the John Wayne version and the Jeff Bridges version and the book all into one video and see how I did. And I put that out, and there's been very few views on it so far. So I think at that same day that I did that, it was when all of a sudden, here comes the pre-release of the Flight Simulator 2024. Okay, we're going to put our gear down now. Let's get them coming down. There we go. Gear coming down. I'm going to be watching my speed. And make sure we stay out of trouble. I'm going to stay right around 90 miles an hour, 90 knots. And we'll just hold it right about here. Maybe put in one more level notch of flaps in just a moment. Put that up a little tighter. One more level of flaps, because we have now caught the glide path, and the glide slope is kicked in. We're coming down, and we have an approaching objective in mind here. So we got the gear down, and we got 2 levels of flaps in, and I'm holding right around 89 knots. And we'll just keep that going all the way. And to me, it looks like up ahead, and all the buildings are up here on the left, so I'll probably go down past the first one, the second one, and then we'll come in from that direction. 400 feet, and we're looking good. Let's just go a little further here. Okay, Mr. Bandit says get that T-bone ready. Yep. Come here, Mr. Bandit. I'm gonna have to do this one hand petting the dog and one hand trying to fly it in. So we'll go as far as we can, and we'll take it off the autopilot here in just a moment. Let's just make sure right about here we're gonna come off autopilot, and I think we're looking good. Or I could use a little more light on the runway. The 2024 version promises to light up the runways better. So hopefully they'll be true to the word, and that's what we get. Then we'll start cutting the power. And we're going to bring her down nice and easy right about here. Ooh, little bounce there. And slow down. We're going to start running our flaps up. I think we can come in here. Whoa, a little tight there. Oh, easy. I probably should have gone down one more. While we are here, let's bring this in a little more. Okay, I could have gone one more. Okay. So I don't really know where they parked their planes down here, but Dave McGee had, with his channel, had told me about this free airport, and I thought it looked pretty good, so let's just pull on in here. And I don't think I've ever been here at nighttime before, but I guess this is probably the main area here, and it's probably where he took his sister-in-law and brought her in to depart. Plane, and he had such a short distance to go. I don't think he refueled. We'll put the parking brakes on here, and we're safe on the ground, and we'll take our pitot heat off, take our warning lights off, and we've got our flaps up. Flaps are all the way up. Okay. We get our landing lights off, we get our taxi light off, and now we can, to kill these engines, basically you just pull the power. That's all there is to it. And you do the same with the other one. And it's gone. We're going to kill the avionics, and we will turn off all lights here. And we will Kill the battery right about there. And let's just hop out of the plane for a second and see what it looked like at Martha's Vineyard. So this is where JF Kennedy Jr. should have landed had they made it in properly. Something just didn't go quite right, and who knows what it was. That plane just disappeared on me. It didn't go right, so that's looking back toward New York. Something went wrong that night, and I don't know what it was. Maybe my weather's wrong. Maybe the other things happened. I guess we're just never really gonna know, are we? Okay, well, I think I better get ready to skedaddle and grab some dinner. So, Mr. Bandit, shall we hop out? Shall we get out of here? Yep, that T-bone's ready for you. Okay, well, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope I did it some justice. If you have ideas about what else may have happened, let me know. I'm just barely scraping the surface of the possibilities that it was. Okay, have a good evening, and probably my next video won't be till I get to 2024 version. All right, bye-bye now.